think one of the most interesting things is the increasing diversity of people that come. I think in the early days it was very much gallerists trying to get collectors, and there weren't so many ordinary people, members of the public coming, and if they did come, they didn't really understand what it was about. And now I think there's a much more informed audience. It's amazing how many Emiratis are now really informed about not just contemporary art but also modern art and international art. And I think that's the other dimension that has really changed. It's become a truly international fair and not one just narrowly focused on the region. Well, art makes people talk to each other, and when people talk to each other they understand each other, they discover shared values and shared outlooks, regardless of religion or social background. And I think that's the single most important thing about art, is conversation between people. The situation's changed entirely from how it was when I first came to the Middle East in the early 1990s. In those days, the idea that there would be international art fairs was just not on anyone's radar at all. I mean, there were hardly any homegrown artists. The only art that was available, say, in Oman, where I was working in the early 1990s, was by expatriates, amateur expatriates. And I don't think there were any Omanis creating art at that time. And that has really changed, and it's an evolution that's been mirrored right across the region. And not just in countries that have the wealth to be able to support an arts infrastructure. It's happening in all of the Arab states, all the countries across the Middle East, which is a really, really wonderful thing to see. Well, art education is clearly hugely important, and I think what we need to do is look at other parts of the world and see how art education has developed there. And I think for those of us that have grown up, say in Europe or in North America, how we learn about art is by going to museums and to art galleries. And that's why it's really fantastic that that is now becoming an option for people living in the Gulf, obviously in the UAE with the amazing museums that are coming here, but also in Doha, which has the best museum of Islamic art really in the world. And so there are now all sorts of opportunities for young Arabs living in the Gulf and elsewhere to be educated about art in their own countries rather than having to go on expeditions to more distant places. And not only are they learning about the art and architecture of their own countries, but they're being exposed to international masterpieces that are being brought in by these museums. And that is really, really important. No, I'm a complete dinosaur on social media. I can see that it's a really invaluable tool for younger people, and you just have to look around at a fair like this and see the number of young people who are really passionate about art and are expressing themselves artistically through social media. So yes, it's a huge thing, and I can see that, but I'm probably just very slightly too old to make the most of it myself. I love canvas.